This podcast includes graphic depictions of true crime cases and may contain explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, everyone, and welcome to We Saw the Devil. This is Robin.
And this is Jackie.
And today's episode is part 3 of our Heaven's Gate series.
Picking up where we left off.
Exactly. And this is going to be a little bit meatier of an episode because we are finally going to discuss in full the group's doctrine.
Meteor or meteor?
I see what you did there.
Inhale, bop, bop, bop.
At this point, Heaven's Gate was actually not known as Heaven's Gate officially yet. They had been going by the name Human Individual Metamorphosis.
Which the acronym is HIM, and not to be confused with the really odd phase that a lot of kids went through in middle school and high school in like 2001 with that band.
And Hot Topic, and yeah, not to be confused with the Finnish weird metal band. So we have a lot to discuss today with the group, with Applewhite and Nettles.
Nettles.
So we'll be picking up with this. Before we do that, though, let's really quickly get our housekeeping out of the way. You can find us at www.wesawthedevil.com. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter at We Saw the Devil, and you can find us on Instagram at We Saw the Devil Podcast. If you are enjoying the show and you want to maybe become a backer on Patreon, you can do so at patreon.com/We Saw the Devil. And if you can't remember that, you can also find those links at our website, wesawthedevil.com. And right now would be a great time. The new month actually starts tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, that's a great time.
Yeah.
And it's, what is October, Robin?
Halloween.
Oh, it's my favorite holiday. I don't know about you.
Oh my God. I pretty much personally start celebrating in August. You know, I think that most people may start October 1st. This is our holiday, and we are super excited. We have an awesome Patreon exclusive case tying into Halloween. That's exciting. Cool goodies and so on and so forth. So check us out on Patreon if you are interested. Furthermore, let's talk about our contest/giveaway. We are giving away...
We asked, what would Oprah do? And then it dawned on us. In honor of the time, true, and tested tradition of what would Oprah do, we have our giveaway and contest, right? Mm-hmm. And they have the opportunity to win a $50 true crime box.
So we are giving away a true crime goodies box, and it's going to be true crime themed merch, goodies, toys, and more at a $50 value. And all you have to do is leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. And you can just send us a screenshot. And if you don't have an iPhone, that's okay because you can do it from your computer as well.
Us trying to necessarily sway your vote to 5 stars, but we like that idea, don't we?
Exactly. So you can do that, submit it, send us a screenshot on whatever social media platform you choose to communicate on, and you'll be entered. And then on October 15th, we will pick a winner and we will ship you your mystery box. And I promise this isn't going to be like one of those creepy dark web random box openings where they find like bloodstained tools and things. So
maybe it will be.
Maybe it will be.
You're giving me an idea right now. You're kind of inspiring me.
You never know.
I'm gonna Martha Stewart a dark web box now.
My God, that would be frightening. Also, on our store, if you're looking, I know a couple of you are interested in t-shirts and merch and stuff, and you're like, kind of want to wait until it goes on sale again. Fear not. Everything in our store is currently at least 35% off. So that Pimp Until Next Crime t-shirt that you've been wanting, $13. Yeah, lots of stickers. Everything is on sale, at least 35% off. So you can find our store either on TeePublic, or you can go to our website and click on store, and it will direct you there as well. So Heaven's Gate. If you have not caught up, or if you are new to the series or haven't listened to any of it, I highly suggest you start with Heaven's Gate Episode 1, Origins. And then Episode 2 was On the Road and Back Again. So let's get into it. Again, catch up on the 2 previous episodes if you have not. So picking up where we left off in the last episode, we are now in 1976. Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Lou Nettles were struggling with maintaining power over the group, as we discussed last week, because many of the members were growing tired of all of the strict rules. Their diet was controlled. They were eating, for the most part, bread and butter 3 times a day. They weren't allowed to smoke, drink, fraternize with other members, and they certainly were not allowed to have sex with one another.
What's the point of living?
Right?
I mean, other than just bread.
the bread alone for me would be worth it. 3 times a day I may join on that alone.
Oh, you stop. Oh, get out of here.
So Bonnie and Marshall had to make a move. They had to make a power move. So they sent their members away to meditate and proselytize and instructed them to meet back in Wyoming in 2 months' time. And members did in fact return, although most of them left. They're like, screw this noise. I need some sex.
Well, I mean, who doesn't?
Right? They were once at 150 or so members, and now they're back down to, say, 60 or 70. After the remaining members reconvened in Wyoming, they once again went back out on the road. And Marshall Applewhite primarily took them to what he called good energy states, like Arizona.
That's not good energy. I want to let everyone know, unless you find yourself in this one place in Sedona and it's a 1-inch square of land in Arizona, beyond that, I can't tell you there's good energy.
Yeah, California and Colorado. And again, they did the same thing. They lived at campgrounds. They picked up their old habits of menial jobs and panhandling for money. There was a member by the name of David Moore, and he joined the group. Now, his mother grew very, very upset that she could not contact David. She didn't hear from him for quite a while. Being the badass that Nancy is, she created a newsletter, and she submitted this newsletter to all other parents and family members who had been shunned or left behind by members of the group. Marshall and Bonnie Lou discovered it, and they were really, really angry, but they were forced into letting members contact their families, which I find that's relatively unheard of in cult groups.
Yeah, that's really weird.
So they actually started letting them call their families. However, this only happened occasionally at campgrounds. The members would be able to use a payphone. They would have 1 minute to call their families. And of course, either Applewhite or Nettles were standing there listening to what they were saying.
Yeah, was this like fucking UFO boot camp?
Right.
Well, that's scary. Or they're in prison.
Now, this is when the group changed the name officially from Human Individual Metamorphosis to Heaven's Gate. So we have officially now become Heaven's Gate roughly around 1976. Now, after everybody hit the road and went out and whatnot, and the rules became a tiny bit more lenient, Marshall Applewhite declared, no, we are going underground. And that's exactly what they did. They went into a sort of period of seclusion. Applewhite said that they had been so focused on, quote, demonstrations via public speaking engagements that they had neglected their own souls.
I mean, more than their souls are neglected, they've been eating bread and butter.
Mm-hmm. And the demonstrations he was speaking of are when they went to churches, New Age centers, colleges. They did a lot of public speaking engagements. And actually, you can go on eBay or any sort of cult or true crime memorabilia site, and you can actually buy the original flyers that they put up around various towns and stuff. So Heaven's Gate, officially Heaven's Gate, they continued the nomadic lifestyle, except this time, everyone was working with Applewhite almost every hour of the day. He would literally convene them together to sit in on one of his talks almost every hour on the hour. And here's where they taught the followers that only platonic relationships among themselves, so no romantic relationships, right? This is when they were assigned specific clothing, like a standard uniform. Their hair was all cut in this weird, awkward bowl cut shape. Like man, woman, it doesn't matter. They had the same haircut. They started wearing very similar clothes, like a uniform. And this is when Marshall Applewhite doubled down again on the need to get rid of sexual desire. They also preached against medicinal or recreational drugs, healthcare, like going to the hospital if you were ill. That meant you were weak, by the way.
Well, yeah, you are weak.
And then all material possessions.
So we isolated ourselves in this small group of 60 or 70 people, and we didn't have contact with our families. We were isolated into a circumstance where we could then focus on our change, and there was a continual emphasis on the urgency that we make our changeover quickly, because we wanted to be ready when they came.
One woman said to us that she when she bought toothpaste, she'd always buy a small tube because she'd expect to be leaving shortly. But then she said wistfully once, well, I'm always buying another tube.
They were only to worry about themselves and being able to enter the next level in heaven. Because again, this entire group was about purifying yourself enough to make it to that next level. We're in the 1980s now. So again, the group went underground, stopped doing talks and presentations or what they called demonstrations, and started working on themselves. More or less, Marshall Applewhite was trying to crack down again on his 60 to 70 followers. Remember when Bonnie Lou Nettles left to join Marshall on their little...
Yeah, she left 4 of her children behind.
Yeah, she left like 4 kids, a husband, the whole bit.
She did Melanie Gibb.
She Melanie Gibb. That is our new phrase.
Yeah.
She Melanie Gibbed, and she never really contacted her daughter. She may have written her an errant letter here and there, but there wasn't hardline communication. During the early 1980s, Bonnie Lou began writing letters to her daughter Terry, expressing not directly that she wanted to leave the group but couldn't figure out how to do so. She spoke about how she wasn't sure how she could make a graceful exit. So Bonnie Lou was very much of the mind of probably wanting to get out of there. In 1983, Bonnie Lou was diagnosed with brain cancer. She did not call her family, her friends, her children, or anyone to inform them. And it actually started very quickly in her brain and then spread throughout the rest of her body. She ended up having an eye removed.
Oh, that's extreme.
Yeah. Eventually, it reached her liver, and Bonnie Lou Nettles died alone under the alias of Shelley West on June 19th, 1985, outside of Dallas, Texas, just a couple hours from her family and children.
She was only a few hours away from me, so nobody even bothered to call me to tell me that my mom was dying so that I could be there with her. Nothing. My entire insides felt like it had been ripped out, and I spent many nights waking up the next day with my pillows soaking wet because I would just cry through the night.
What was bizarre and so sad and expected too is Marshall Applewhite didn't notify her family until several months later. So they had no idea. He did, however, inform their followers almost immediately. Because remember, they've been telling the group for almost 10 years that both he and Nettles could not die. And so he had to come up with some sort of explanation as far as why she died. He decided, after much thinking, to say that Bonnie had used other means to ascend. He told them, the remaining followers there, because some did leave after Bonnie passed away. They're like, well, this is a crock. He told the remaining followers that her, quote, broken down vehicle was left behind. He said that she would help from the next level and that she would be the one commandeering the spaceship that would come take them away from Earth to safety. In fact, this is when he gave her, quote, old member status. The group continued to speak as if she was there in the room with them. They would literally address her in like an empty chair.
That's creepy and sad.
They would address her directly. They would refer to her in the present tense. They would leave a chair, an empty chair for her, and talk to her as if she were there. It was really, really bizarre because per Applewhite, per Marshall, she was still there with them.
And they played this game?
They did.
Wow.
And Marshall ended up, because he was responsible for her body, he was the only one who knew that she was passing away from cancer. He had her body cremated and her ashes were spread upon the White Rock Lake in Texas.
Did her family know at that point?
No.
What?
Her family had no idea. He cremated her, spread her ashes before her family even found out.
Oh, that's devastating. I can't imagine how her kids feel.
Now, I wish there was more information about Heaven's Gate in the late 1980s. I have spent weeks researching this. And it seems like the group was largely underground until roughly 1988 when it published an update. And this update contained a full guide to their beliefs and doctrine. Around this time, there are still, like 5 years later, there are still some members questioning Bonnie's death and then all of Marshall's revisions to the doctrine. What do authoritarians do when they need to, get more control? They crack down.
Oh, he was great at cracking down.
He was great at cracking down. Up until this point, Bonnie was sort of a check and balance system for him. She was the only other supreme being there with him. They were the leaders, co-leaders. And with her help, he was able to hold his, gay, homosexual, same-sex attraction and urges in check. And now he was letting himself get close to men in the group. And there have actually been reports that he did, in fact, have a sexual relationship and sleep with multiple men in Heaven's Gate.
So she dies, and he starts just diddling all the guys.
Yes, it turns into Studio 54 rather quickly.
Wow, that's quite the turn. And this is what I feel like people don't expect out of this group.
I had no idea that so much of this group was based on his own self-loathing for his same-sex attraction. I mean, that is quite literally one of the foundations of this group.
Now, stark reminder is that he came from this extreme religious background, right?
Mm-hmm. Presbyterian minister father.
Yeah, and his father was rather abusive, and used religion as a way of like a control factor in his life. And here we are. This is the outcome of people who are repressed. And they take their sexuality being repressed so seriously. And I mean, I'm sure he has a million different like diagnoses and stuff, like mental illnesses, but this is crazy.
He began to ask the group just how far they would go to ensure that their mission was a success. And he then introduced the idea of castration.
Oh my God.
He wanted to remove the desire to reproduce and end all sexual desires and attraction. So to most members, they were freaked out by this.
Yeah, you should be. Anybody should be freaked out by that. When I first heard about that, we were doing the research for this, and I was watching a documentary, and they're like, castration. Yep, I did it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, are we serious? Mm-hmm. Who's gonna just give up?
His penis was a peenwas.
Peenwas.
Yeah. His penis is a peenwas. Their doctrine is that you are supposed to shed every single human trait that you possess. And that would include sexual attraction, right? Desire, all of that stuff. But really, it was because he desired men and was so full of self-hatred and loathing that is the extreme that he went to.
It became the core basis of this entire venture that he took on and the creation of this religion. Crazy.
And he, along with 6 other male followers, again, 6 other men, flew to Mexico City.
He was busy.
Yeah, and they all received surgical castrations.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's like, I like you. Let's just chop off our penises together. Higher
First
purpose,
date.
Okay?
Around this time, late 1980s, early 1990s, this was also the beginning of the internet as we know it, or a lot of us old people remember. And Marshall Applewhite realized what a valuable commodity and recruitment tool it could be. With most of his followers being technologically and internet savvy, they created a business called Hire Source. And they would design personal websites for people and local companies in exchange for free promotion. So coffee shops, gathering places, businesses, and in turn, the businesses would pay them, but also allow for cross promotion. And in 1 year of web design work, between 1990 and 1991, the group made over $450,000.
They could have bought a modern day home.
They made a good deal of money off of their web design, which is shocking, but almost all of this group's members were very, very, very technologically savvy. And I hate pointing this out. I don't like dwelling on it because it feels almost like I'm bullying people. But the fact of the matter is a lot of their members were like Trekkies, people who love Star Trek, people who naturally were already into
the
science
sci-fi.
fiction.
Yeah.
Exactly. UFOs and aliens and sci-fi and space technology and UFOs and alien races. Those are the people, obviously, I mean, that's the foundation and basis of this religion that it attracted. So naturally, a lot of them had computer skills. If you look actually at a list of the 39 members who committed suicide, 90% of them worked with computers. In 1992, the group somehow managed to produce a television series called Beyond Human: The Last Call, and it got aired on national television over a 3.5-month period from late 1992 to early 1993.
Oh my God, we gotta check that out.
It's all on YouTube, every single video. And this was a video series with the intention of both recruiting new followers, but primarily bringing home those, quote, lost sheep. Applewhite was trying to get back some of those followers because those people were already interested enough where they left their families, children, jobs, homes to go be a nomad and eat bread and butter 3 times a day. So in the videos, he explained why he brought the group out of their more than a decade of seclusion. He said, quote, "We began to get clear signals that our classroom time, per se, was nearly over, but that some involvement with the public was about to begin. So we started the painful and arduous task of trying to figure out how to re-interface, communicate with a human civilization which by this time had become quite foreign to where our thinking had evolved." He ostracizes, he makes human civilization, your community, the other. Right? So he's further isolating his members.
Well, he's further isolating himself. He's taken his sexuality. He got too wild, castrated himself, and he's always identified himself as an alien in a way. And it seems like by being alienated, he is an alien, and now he's like exhibiting this like mental illness.
Mm-hmm. And it's really bizarre. I've also read conflicting reports about how he dealt with the loss of Bonnie Nettles because their relationship wasn't sexual. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't sexual. He and Bonnie at this point, guys, don't forget, they've been together in this group for almost 15 years. Some say that Marshall was distraught and had no focus and no direction. And then the others say he didn't care. Like, he literally did not care about Bonnie at all, or her passing. That he was more frustrated about losing group members than he was about her actually dying. On May 27th, 1993, the group reached deep within its own pockets and published a 1/3 page ad in USA Today. Now, does that give you any indication of how much money they were making?
USA Today, that's incredible.
Yeah, off of their web design, and then they got a lot of new members from their Last Call series.
Oh my, I would die to get that original issue.
Mm-hmm. And in that USA Today ad, it was titled UFO Cult Resurfaces with Final Offer. And the ad appeared in newspapers and magazines across the country and even internationally overseas. It set forth the very, very bare bones and basic tenets of T and Doe's teachings. Because at this point, after all of the aliases and other nicknames they've had, the final name we have for them was T and Doe. So Marshall being T.
And T-I is how it's spelled. And then Doe is D-O.
Mm-hmm. And after this, I don't know who had the stroke of marketing genius, but first they hit television. Then they had a newspaper, and then now they're going off of alternative newspapers. Every city has one, the Underground, the New Age, all of that. They went on a campaign and just solely focused on alternative weekly newspapers. They bought ad space with one article titled Last Chance to Advance Beyond Human. And that ad, even above the USA Today one, generated a lot of press and publicity. And at this point, the group gained hundreds of new followers. Up until this point, we've only kind of gone through a very, very, very basic outline of you need to ascend. The aliens are coming. We need to leave on a ship. I was surprised to find out their doctrine goes really, really, really deep. And we will go into that in depth. I'm not going to lie, guys. We actually recorded their entire doctrine, and the episode was a little too long.
Yes.
So we are going to cut that out and put that out on the next one so we can deep dive into what Heaven's Gate believed in. What was their doctrine? What was their theology? What did they actually believe? Because, honestly, beyond spaceship following behind Hale-Bopp, that's all I knew.
That's all that almost everybody knew.
Yeah, that's it. It goes so much deeper than that. Like, you will not believe it.
It's actually pretty crazy. And then we're able to dive into the psyche of Marshall Applewhite a little bit more and understanding what makes him tick.
Because there are a lot of whys here. We will be closing up this series. It will be a 5-part series. And next week is going to be the group's beliefs. And then the finale episode is going to be Nike tracksuits, $5 in your pocket,
Oh,
and mass suicide.
the sad episode.
The sad episode.
The true conclusion.
That is it for today, guys. Again, you can find us at WeSawTheDevil.com. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at We Saw the Devil, Instagram at We Saw the Devil Podcast, Patreon if you want to support the show, back the show, get ad-free episodes, cool true crime goodies, merch, t-shirts, stickers, postcards from the case of the month,
Giveaways,
Patreon only exclusive giveaways. You can find that at patreon.com/We Saw the Devil, or find it on our website. Our last episode, again, was the crazy disappearance of Amy Bradley.
Oh, sad, crazy.
So heartbreaking and sad.
It makes you really think. It makes you really kind of fearful of going on a cruise.
It does. And we got a lot of feedback on our YouTube videos last week of people who are also afraid of going on cruises because of this case. So again, thanks for joining us, guys.
Until next crime.